Well, we're very privileged that back in 2006, we were approached by the people then at the TDIC to review the plans for culture generally on Saadiyat Island. And that included reviewing the space plan that had been developed by the architect for what is today the Louvre Abu Dhabi. So we actually predate the announcement of the Louvre project. And then we went on to do about 8 other projects, including, very importantly, the Sheikh Zayed National Museum, which is going to be in construction next month. I would say it's going to be an enormous increase in Abu Dhabi soft power. The public generally is not that familiar with Abu Dhabi, even though it is the capital city of the United Arab Emirates. I think that they don't understand the cultural aspirations, and they don't understand also the impulse that the UAE generally has to be peacemakers and participants in the development of the region. So by having this utterly magnificent museum with its great collections and really great ideas, I think that it will really kind of remake the public perception of Abu Dhabi, and I think it will add increasing its soft power tremendously. I think that that's a really great question to compare culture and sports in terms of global impact, because of course Abu Dhabi itself has major sports events. This region will be bringing the World Cup, but it also has those big racing car events and so on that get a lot of world attention. I think that the big comparison is, first of all, that the audience that comes for sporting events and for cultural events are fundamentally different. The cultural event audience is more or less what we would call a mass tourism audience, which is, well, let's compare it this way. A mass tourism audience versus a cultural tourism audience. Studies show that cultural tourists stay in an area longer, they spend more money, and they're more engaged in the local culture than a mass tourist, i.e. a sports tourist. And also, how would I put it? They're more friendly to the environment. And these are all very, very important in the context of particularly the developing world. So I think that there are the benefits that basically the market for sports tourism or mass tourism and cultural tourism have fundamental differences. Now, from a soft power point of view, I would say that sports, major international sporting events, they're kind of somewhere in a gray zone between soft power and hard power. Because the essence of soft power is educating people through information and culture and broadening people's minds and creating human understanding. Whereas sports do create a certain amount of human understanding. After all, people are working together to create a sporting event even when they're competing. But on the other hand, how much openness is really transmitted in what is essentially an inherently competitive situation. So I think that from a soft power point of view, and certainly in the remarks that the chairman of the TCI has made, it creates much more of a climate of acceptance. I'm quoting him there. And I think that acceptance is a really important message for this region. Acceptance of cultures, acceptance of difference. I think that it's going to make a significant difference over time. His Excellency Mohammed Khalifa Al Mubarak, who's the president of the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism, which really is the lead over this mammoth project, in his opening remarks, really made such a powerful statement that the whole reason behind doing this project is to create human understanding among cultures. He made the point, I thought it was really remarkable, that it's not about tolerance, it's about acceptance. And he spoke about the importance of acceptance of different cultures as being a way to combat extremism. And from his point of view, that is a really central issue. Now, the exhibition themselves really promote this idea. It's important to understand this is not in any way a traditional interpretation of art history, which is like first this happened, then that happened, then that happened, and guess what? Then that happened within individual cultures. You know, if you go to the Louvre, for example, which is the natal organization here, and in Paris, that's pretty much what they do. You get all of French art, you get all of Italian art, you get all of Northern Renaissance art. Here it's very, very different. All cultures are present in all galleries all the time. And the whole essence of the interpretation, which is quite fantastic, is to stress what we as human beings in our creativity and our imagination have in common. So I do think that this is going to have a profound impact on people in the region, in the Emirates, and a profound impact on people who visit from other countries. For example, Mexico is shown, which is an absolutely great civilization. We do a lot of work in Mexico, is shown in the same category as the Greek and Roman classical period, because its great Aztec period coexisted roughly at the same time, roughly, broadly speaking. Now, imagine the impact on people who might come from indigenous cultures, for example, any place in the world, to actually see that. It is a tremendous validation of culture that I think is going to create great understanding among people. Well, I think most people will say it's the building. The building is certainly, with its magnificent dome that brings in this beautiful filtered light and really is very cooling, it's a wonder of the world. No question, the building will be seen as a wonder of the world. However, for me, I get to work with a lot of marvelous buildings that are wonders of the world in our sector. So for me, the real thing that I enjoyed was the wonder of the mind. And the wonder of the mind is really the installation of some of the world's greatest works of art from one of the greatest collections, namely the Louvre, as we've never seen it before, and in new ways. So every gallery had its own revelations, and will take lots of time to absorb. But the one dealing with monarchy is one that's easy to show. So there's two examples. One is an 18th century equestrian statue from France, and the other is a 19th century equestrian statue from India. And they both appear in the same gallery, which is really devoted to the subject of monarchy in different cultures. Every culture has some notion of monarchy. And I think that seeing the works, and by the way, the very powerful African works in that gallery as well, to me, that is the most stimulating, most wonderful aspect of this museum. And I think it's a reason why everybody has to go.